So Mike has already talked about a lot of interesting protocols, including FTP, the File Transfer Protocol. We use this when we want to transmit files over a TCP/IP network without getting bogged down on the intricacies of doing it in Linux or Windows. FTP works the same whether you're on Linux, Windows, Mac OS, smartphone, it doesn't matter. So that's one of the reasons it's still actually used. But if you're just using plain FTP, what I mean by that is you're not using secure FTP, SFTP, or FTPS. Plain FTP is vulnerable because when you authenticate, when you provide a username and password, if the FTP server requires it, it's sent over the network in plain text. So if someone can capture that network traffic, and we've talked of that in many different ways, then they have access to those credentials. Let's take a look at that. So here in Wireshark, I have a packet capture, and I'm looking for FTP traffic. So what can I do? Well, we know that we can filter by protocol in the upper filter bar by typing in this case, FTP and pressing enter. And just like that, all I'm looking at now is FTP traffic. Now, having an FTP packet selected, we can't resist the temptation of talking about the headers, can we? So we've got the standard IP header, we've got the TCP header because FTP uses TCP, Transmission Control Protocol, as its transport, as opposed to UDP. And what we see there is the destination port is 21. So FTP will normally use two ports, normally 20 and 21 over TCP to allow connections and then to allow data transfer. The actual transfer normally occurs over port 21. So we know we're definitely looking at FTP traffic. Of course, it says that in the protocol column here in Wireshark. Now, what's interesting is that as I take a look over to the right under the info column in Wireshark, this is surprisingly readable. I can see all the details for FTP as I move down through that. Look at this. User, administrator. Really? That's the username? It's that easy? Yes. Password required, the next packet says. And then it says pass, and there's the password. It's that easy. If you can capture the traffic as this is occurring, that's why we say we need to encrypt things over a network, because if not, it's in plain text. And anybody with almost no knowledge, maybe watching this video, would be able to go in and take a look. Now, certainly, we can do things to protect this from happening. What we can do is limit network access. We can also make sure that we use more secure protocols, as Mike talked about, like SFTP or FTPS. You might even use things like IPsec on your internal LAN, which means regardless of what you're doing between two endpoints, such as this, it might be protected with encryption if that's how you've configured IPsec. So at any rate, FTP still remains useful, but make sure that you're using a secure version of it so you don't run into this kind of a problem.